How was your day, really? Hey, and welcome to Mind Window. We're here to open a little window into those quiet, hidden thoughts we all carry inside. Have you ever felt this crushing pressure, this unspoken rule that every single moment of your life has to be productive, has to be a step towards some grand goal? Well, today we're going to talk about the beautiful, profound power of doing absolutely nothing. Stick with me, because what you're about to hear might just change the way you see your wasted time forever. What would you do if you didn't have to do anything? I'd sleep. That's the first answer that popped into my head. I know, it sounds so bland. I can almost see the disappointed head shakes. The model answer, the one you're supposed to give, is something like, I'd read, learn a new language, or maybe even pick up a few freelance gigs. After all, they say the true difference between an average person and a high achiever is how they use their free time. There's an old saying, the hours outside of work can forge a genius, but they can also create a slacker, an addict, a gambler. This isn't just about work performance, it's about the entire trajectory of your life. The chasm between just getting by and truly succeeding. That slice of time after 6 p.m. is often seen as the ultimate test. It's when school is over, the office is closed, and the hours are completely, totally your own. So, what do you do with them? Some people choose to burn the midnight oil, grinding away at the office until 1 or 2 in the morning, refusing to give their bodies a moment's rest. Others might be busy binge-watching a new series, lying in bed scrolling endlessly through TikTok, or just killing time at a coffee shop with friends. To an outsider, these activities scream unproductive. Time is money, right? If you're under 30 and don't have a house and a car, if your success isn't outpacing your parents' aging, if you have all the energy of youth but nothing to show for it, well, you're seen as a failure. Time becomes useless when it doesn't generate tangible value. A year without making more money. A year with no new professional achievements. A year of poor grades. A year without acquiring anything of worth. That, to the world, is useless. I have to admit, I used to be one of those judgmental people. I saw sleeping in as a waste, holding up at home to watch movies as lazy. I'd even scoff at the fishermen who could sit by a lake all day just to catch a couple of fish, thinking they must have too much time on their hands, the hallmark of someone with no real ambition. But then something shifted inside me. I realized that the people who choose to sleep are the ones who haven't had a full night's rest in ages. The ones who escape into movies are trying to flee a harsh reality. The person fishing in silence is trying to find a moment of peace in their mind after a storm of worries and chaos. Ultimately, all of them are just trying to recalibrate, to regain the energy they've lost. At first glance, it looks like their actions are meaningless, but in reality, they are practicing a kind of meaningful non-action. The philosopher Lao Tzu spoke of a concept called Wu Wei. Wu means not or non, and Wei means action or doing. Loosely translated, it means to do nothing. People who live by Wu Wei are often calm and serene, existing in a primal state of the soul, unburdened by anxiety, not consumed by worries, not swept up in the frantic rush. Everything is natural, flowing as gently as a stream. Think about it like this. You see a tiger pouncing on a deer. If you shoot the tiger to save the deer, you might be condemning a whole litter of tiger cubs waiting for their mother's food to starve. If you help the tiger catch the deer, you've wronged the deer. But if you simply let nature take its course, you are respecting the natural order. By doing nothing, you allow the universe to unfold as it should, to live and die by its own rhythm. The natural world already operates in its own perfect cycle. If we interfere with even one small part, we risk throwing the entire system into chaos. But if we do nothing, we ensure that the cycle can continue, uninterrupted. So, for those days when you don't know what to do, for those problems you don't know how to solve, perhaps the wisdom of Lao Tzu is the best advice of all. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is to do nothing at all. This philosophy has always stirred up a bit of controversy, hasn't it? The idea of effortless action, or Wu Wei. So many people hear that and immediately think it's just an excuse for laziness, for being passive. In their minds, you have to be doing, you have to be taking action to move forward, to achieve anything great. The idea of not doing gets slapped with this label of being negative, unmotivated, lacking ambition. In a culture that worships action, doing nothing feels, well, foolish. I mean, has anyone ever become a millionaire by just sitting around? But the truth is, Wu Wei isn't about giving up or being lazy. It's not a call to become indifferent, to drift through life like some lifeless ghost with no ambition. It's an encouragement to let go of our rigid expectations, to simply savor each moment as it unfolds. One of the core pillars of Wu Wei is learning to wait and to watch. You could think of it as a way of preserving your energy, a truly vital skill for anyone. It's a lot like an exercise called drown-proofing, a survival technique taught for over a century to swimmers and non-swimmers alike. The idea is you relax your body in the pool, letting your arms and legs drift, just finding a way for your head and chest to float to the surface. But here's the crucial part, the paradox at the heart of it. To rise up and breathe, you first have to allow yourself to sink. Now, I'll be honest, I really struggled with this concept at first. Patience has never been my strong suit, even though I know it's a virtue. Especially when you're living in a society where you look around and see brilliant, successful people everywhere. The pace is just relentless, this constant hustle with so many responsibilities pulling at you. How could anyone possibly just sit back calmly and wait? I knew I was just an ordinary person, average looks, moderate talent, and my bank account was painfully normal. I'd find myself looking up to these exceptional people all around me, and then I'd look back at myself and just... So, naturally, I put immense pressure on myself. I set goals, I pushed, I strived for achievement. I was filled with this fire, telling myself I had to use every ounce of my youth to just work. It's only in the last few years that I realized this constant busyness, this gnawing anxiety I felt whenever I wasn't doing something, was actually a form of toxic productivity. It's this mindset that you have to be working relentlessly, even when you have time to relax. And it led me to a place where I was completely drained, both physically and mentally. I'd sit down at my desk and feel nothing but emptiness. My body just a hollow shell with no energy left. That's when that outer shell of what I thought achievement was finally cracked and fell away, leaving me with nothing but questions about what I was even chasing. I could see it so clearly. I wasn't happy. I wasn't at peace. I couldn't even manage a real smile. And that's when I knew I had to stop and just do nothing. Of course, a lot of people argue that Wu Wei is a luxury. It's only for the rich, the people born with a silver spoon, who can afford to be so effortless because they don't have to worry. When you're struggling to put food on the table, you have to work, period. But it's so important to remind them, Wu Wei isn't about quitting. It's about taking a strategic pause. It's a rest stop to rebalance your energy so you can get back on the road and keep going. Think about it. Our capacity for focus is finite. The moment we concentrate on one thing, we automatically lose focus on something else. And especially in this age of information overload, where everything is screaming for our attention, it's incredibly difficult to choose where to put our energy. We end up losing our sense of clarity and reason. The person who knows how to watch and wait can navigate any situation with so much more ease. There's this idea that we define productivity as the creation of something new, while we fail to see maintenance and care as being equally productive. That time we spend resting might not look productive on the surface, but when we integrate those moments of pause into our daily lives, we start to see a more positive outlook emerge. We work more effectively. Our lives simply become better. Because by our very nature, we are active creatures. We're drawn to things that bring us pleasure and distraction. But most of us don't have the persistence to see things through. So we end up just doing more and more, creating more chaos. And chaotic action is so much more destructive than no action at all. So before every significant chapter in my life, I choose to sit still and simply embrace it, to focus and be ready for the challenge. I've heard from some of you who say, I want to just go with the flow and quiet my mind. I really do. But the moment I see my family dragging their feet, being so slow, I just see red. I get so frustrated and feel this overwhelming urge to just shake them back to reality. This story probably sounds familiar in a lot of homes. Imagine a mother running around like crazy, trying to do a million things at once for her family. She's up at the crack of dawn making breakfast, doing laundry, managing the entire household, while her kids finally roll out of bed at the last possible second, moving at a snail's pace with their heads in the clouds. It's no wonder she loses her temper and starts yelling. The new day begins with a storm of negativity, and when that happens day after day, it leads to complete emotional burnout. So what's the way through this? Personally, I haven't walked in those exact shoes, so I can't claim to fully understand the emotions of everyone in that situation. It's always easier to see things clearly from the outside, isn't it? So maybe you could try that. Try to step outside and just observe, and then practice the art of looking deeply. What does it mean to look deeply? It's not just about witnessing something with your eyes. It's about looking to truly see, to get to the root of the issue, the origin, to find the real reason so you can untangle the knot together. For example, when we look deeply, we might see that the children who seem slow are perhaps just operating on a different internal rhythm. Parents often judge their kids by their own adult standards, but a child's capacity is naturally not the same as an adult's. When parents constantly rush their children, they are shattering the child's natural pace of life. The more the child can't keep up with the adult's tempo, the slower they seem to become. Instead of demanding they do something instantly, try giving them a buffer, a little time to prepare. Teach them a visual sense of time. Agree on the day's tasks beforehand. Little by little, you will start to see a change. When a husband and child practice looking deeply, they no longer see just a meal on the table. They see the entire journey their mother took, waking up early to go to the market, painstakingly picking out the freshest vegetables, coming home to carefully wash and chop, the sizzle of the pan, the hot oil, the beads of sweat on her forehead as she tastes and seasons the food over and over. That steaming plate of food is an entire universe of love, her whole heart served on a platter. From that place, they feel a profound love for the person who cooked for them. They see that this isn't just food, it's a precious gift. They feel gratitude, and they find the words to offer their mom genuine love and encouragement. When we look deeply, we see that in the end, every single one of us is fighting our own silent battles. And from that seeing comes compassion, empathy, and the ability to let go of the things that don't truly matter. To me, this is also a part of effortless action, slowing down to see and not forcing things, but instead adapting and responding to what is already happening. Instead of fighting against the current, effortless action is about turning the boat you're rowing to go with the flow. Trying to bend the world to our will wastes so much energy and often leaves us heartbroken and disappointed. While ambition and the drive to act are undeniably powerful forces in our lives, we also have to accept that our plans will rarely go off without a hitch. If a person decides not to overthink, they can avoid getting trapped by a problem, which in turn leads to less anxiety, frustration, and insecurity. But let's be clear, a good life can't be achieved by doing nothing. We shouldn't twist this concept and use going with the flow as an excuse for our own laziness. It's true that everyone has their own timeline, and we shouldn't compare ourselves to others. But saying something like, "Oh, they're a millionaire at 30? Good for them. My destiny is to struggle now and get rich when I'm 70 or 80. Does that really sound right? We should only see this state of non-resistance as a necessary pause. It's about working from a place of calm, resting from a place of calm, thinking from a place of calm, speaking from a place of calm. It's a way of being in the world, not checking out of it. Fundamentally, effortless action shows us that when we stop struggling, when we know how to wait for the right moment and just observe, we begin to see the underlying patterns of life more clearly and can make wiser choices. Don't let your emotions dictate your decisions. Conserve your energy. Don't waste it on pointless battles, and wait for the right moment to unleash your potential. When you do, you will undoubtedly succeed. The sky isn't always stormy, and a bird doesn't have to be constantly in flight. Stillness helps us to act only when it is truly necessary. And so I find myself sitting here again, my breath steady, my eyes just taking in the simple wonder of it all, feeling the gentle sun on my shoulders. I know this is life. Thank you for being here. If this conversation resonated with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd like the video, subscribe to Mind Window, and maybe share it with someone who needs to hear it. How do you practice going with the flow in your own life? Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. I truly love hearing from you.